Hello everyone and welcome. In today's Accuplacer Full Test Ultimate Question Bank Practice session, we'll go through 139 updated questions designed to help you prepare for the exam. When each question appears, pause the video first. Choose the answer you believe is correct, then comment your answer below before resuming the video to see the correct answer. Keep track of your score as you move through the questions, and let's get started. Flashcard 1-1. Stamp collecting being a hobby that is sometimes used in the schools to teach economics and social studies. Being a hobby that is B is a hobby because it is C, which is a hobby. D is a hobby. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 2-2. Knocked sideways, the statue looked as if it would fall. A. Knocked sideways, the statue looked B. The statue was knocked sideways, looked C. The statue looked knocked sideways D. The statue looking knocked sideways. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 3-3. To walk, biking, and driving are Pat's favorite ways of getting around. A. To walk, biking, and driving B. Walking, biking, and driving C. To walk, biking, and to drive D. To walk, to bike, and also driving. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 4-4. When you cross the street in the middle of the block, this is an example of jaywalking. A. When you cross the street in the middle of the block, this B. You cross the street in the middle of the block, this C. Crossing the street in the middle of the block, D. The fact that you cross the street in the middle of the block. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 5-5. Walking by the corner the other day, a child I noticed was watching for the light to change. A child I noticed was watching B. I noticed a child watching C. A child was watching. I noticed D. There was. I noticed a child watching. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 6-6. Going back to his old school, everything there looked smaller than Don remembered. A. Going back to his old school, B. When he went back to his old school, C. To go back to his old school, D. As he went back to his old school. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 7-7. Painting, drawing, and to sculpture. Some of the techniques artists such as Picasso used to express themselves. A. Painting, drawing, and to sculpt. B. To paint, to draw, and sculpting. C. Painting, drawing, and sculpting. D. To paint, draw, and sculpting. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 8-8. Playing sports in school, which is an activity meant to teach teamwork and leadership skills students can use later in life. Which is an activity. B is an activity because it is C being an activity, which is D is an activity. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 9-9. Glancing at his watch, Daniel picked up his speed. A. Glancing at his watch. B. He glanced at his watch. And C. To glance at his watch. D. He glanced at his watch. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 10-10. For a snake, shedding their skin up to 8 times a year is part of a natural process. A. For a snake, shedding their skin. B. A snake's shedding its skin. C. When a snake sheds its skin. D. To shed its skin, for snakes. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 11-11. I was surprised by the noise peering through the window to see who was at the door. A. I was surprised by the noise peering. B. I was surprised by the noise, peered. C. The noise surprised me, peering. D. Surprised by the noise, I peered. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 12-12. It is easy to carry solid objects without spilling them, but the same cannot be said of liquids. Rewrite, beginning with unlike liquids, the next words will be it is easy to be. We can easily see solid objects can easily be D. Solid objects are easy to be. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 13-13. Although the sandpiper is easily frightened by noise and light, it will bravely resist any force that threatens its nest. Rewrite, beginning with the sandpiper is easily frightened by noise and light. The next words will be a but it will bravely resist B, nevertheless bravely resisting C, and it will bravely resist D even if bravely resisting. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 1414. If he had enough strength, Todd would move the boulder. Rewrite, beginning with Todd cannot move the boulder, the next words will be a one lacking B because he's C although they're D without enough. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 1515. The band began to play, and then the real party started. Rewrite, beginning with the real party started, the next words will be after the band began B and the band began C, although the band began D, the band beginning. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 1616. Chris heard no unusual noises when he listened in the park. Rewrite, beginning with listening in the park. The next words will be a no unusual noises could be heard B, then Chris heard no unusual noises C, and hearing no unusual noises D. Chris heard no unusual noises. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 1717. It is unusual to see owls during the daytime, since they are nocturnal animals. Rewrite, beginning with being nocturnal animals. The next words will be it is unusual to see owls B. Owls are not usually seen see owls during the daytime, or D. It is during the daytime bat. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 1818. If I want your opinion, I will ask for it. Rewrite, beginning with I won't ask for your opinion. The next words will be if I wanted B when I wanted C, although I wanted D unless I want it. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 1919. It began to rain, and everyone at the picnic ran to the trees to take shelter. Rewrite, beginning with everyone at the picnic ran to the trees to take shelter. The next words will be beginning to rain B when it began to rain C, although it began to rain D and it began to rain. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 2020. Lucy saw an amazing sight when she witnessed her first sunrise. Rewrite, beginning with witnessing her first sunrise. The next words will be an amazing sight was seen B when Lucy saw an amazing sight C. Lucy saw an amazing sight D, seeing an amazing sight. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 2121. After 3 hours of walking the museum, the entire family felt in need of a rest. Rewrite, beginning with the entire family felt in need of a rest. The next words will be a walking through the museum for 3 hours B, having walked through the museum for 3 hours C, and they walked through the museum for 3 hours D despite having walked through the museum for 3 hours. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 2222. The big celebration meal was over, and everyone began to feel sleepy. Rewrite, beginning with everyone began to feel sleepy. The next words will be and the big celebration meal B before the big celebration meal C, after the big celebration meal D, although the big celebration meal. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 23-1. In the words of Thomas de Quincey, it is notorious that the memory strengthens as you lay burdens upon it. If, like most people, you have trouble recalling the names of those you have just met, try this. The next time you are introduced, plan to remember the names. Say to yourself, I'll listen carefully. I'll repeat each person's name to be sure I've got it, and I will remember. You'll discover how effective this technique is and probably recall those names for the rest of your life. The quotation from De Quincey indicates that the memory A always operates at peak efficiency. B breaks down under great strain. C improves if it is used often. D becomes unreliable if it tires. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 24-2. Unemployment was the overriding fact of life when Franklin D. Roosevelt became President of the United States on March 4, 1933. At the time, the government did not systematically collect statistics of joblessness. Actually, it did not start doing so until 1940. The Bureau of Labor Statistics later estimated that 12,830,000 persons were out of work in 1,933, about one-fourth of a civilian labor force of more than 51 million. Roosevelt signed the Federal Emergency Relief Act on May 12, 1933. The president selected Harry L. Hopkins, who headed the New York Relief Program, to run FERA. A gifted administrator, Hopkins quickly put the program into high gear. He gathered a small staff in Washington and brought the state relief organizations into the FERA system. While the agency tried to provide all the necessities, food came first. City dwellers usually got an allowance for fuel, and rent for 1 month was provided in cash. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 25-3. With varying success, many women around the world today struggle for equal rights. Historically, women have achieved greater equality with men during periods of social adversity. The following factors initiated the greatest number of improvements for women: violent revolution, world war, and the rigors of pioneering in an undeveloped land. In all three cases, the essential element that improved the status of women was a shortage of men, which required women to perform many of society's vital tasks. We can conclude from the information in this passage that women today are highly successful in winning equal rights. B. Only pioneer women have been considered equal to men. C. Historically, women have only achieved equality through force. D. Historically, the principle of equality alone has not been enough to secure women equal rights. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 26-4. All water molecules form six-sided structures as they freeze and become snow crystals. The shape of a snow crystal is determined by temperature, vapor, and wind conditions in the upper atmosphere. A snow crystal is always symmetrical because these conditions affect all six of its sides simultaneously. The purpose of the passage is to present a personal observation, B. A solution to a problem, C. Factual information, D. Opposing scientific theories. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 27-5. In the words of Thomas de Quincey, it is notorious that the memory strengthens as you lay burdens upon it. If, like most people, you have trouble recalling the names of those you have just met, try this. The next time you are introduced, plan to remember the names. Say to yourself, I'll listen carefully, I'll repeat each person's name to be sure I have it, and I will remember. You'll discover how effective this technique is and probably recall those names for the rest of your life. The passage suggests that people remember names best when they meet new people. B. Your intelligence, C. Decide to do so. D. You're interested in people. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 28-6. Many people have owned or have heard of traditional piggy banks, coin banks shaped like pigs. A logical theory about how this tradition started might be that because pigs often symbolize greed, the object is to fatten one's piggy bank with as much money as possible. However, while this idea makes sense, it is not the correct origin of the term. The genesis of the piggy bank is the Old English word pig, which was a common kind of clay hundreds of years ago in England. People used pots and jars made out of this red pig clay for many different purposes in their homes. Sometimes they kept their money in one of the pots, and this was known as a pig bank. Over the years, because pig and pig sounded the same, Blazers began making novelty banks out of pottery in the shape of a pig as a kind of joke. These banks were given as gifts and exported to countries where people spoke other languages and were known. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 29-7. The wheel is considered one of the most important mechanical inventions of all time. Many technologies since the invention of the wheel have been based on its principles. Since the Industrial Revolution, the wheel has been a basic element of nearly every machine constructed by humankind. No one knows the exact time and place of the invention of the wheel, but its beginnings can be seen across many ancient civilizations. The passage suggests that the wheel is an important invention because it is one of the world's oldest inventions. B. Forms the basis of so many later inventions. C. Can be traced to many ancient cultures. D. Is one of the world's most famous inventions. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 38. Samuel Morse, best known today as the inventor of Morse code and one of the inventors of the telegraph, was originally a prominent painter. While he was always interested in technology and studied electrical engineering in college, Morse went to Paris to learn from famous artists of his day and later painted many pictures that now hang in museums, including a portrait of former President John Adams. In 1825, Morse was in Washington, D.C. painting a portrait of the Marquis de Lafayette when a messenger arrived on horseback to tell him that his wife was gravely ill back at his home in Connecticut. The message had taken several days to reach him because of the distance. Morse rushed to his home as fast as he could, but his wife had already passed away by the time he arrived. Grief-stricken, he gave up painting and devoted the rest of his life to finding ways to transmit messages over long distances faster. Morse law. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 319. Leonardo da Vinci is not only one of the most famous artists in history, but he was also a botanist, a writer, and an inventor. Even though most of his inventions were not actually built in his lifetime, many of today's modern machines can be traced back to some of his original designs. The parachute, the military tank, the bicycle, and even the airplane were foretold in the imaginative drawings that can still be seen in the fragments of Da Vinci's notebooks. Over 500 years ago, this man conceived ideas that were far ahead of his time. The author of this passage is praising Da Vinci primarily for his artistic talent, B, intelligence, C, foresight, D, fame. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 3210. The Midwest is experiencing its worst drought in 15 years. Corn and soybean prices are expected to be very high this year. What does the second sentence do? A. It restates the idea found in the first. B. It states an effect. C. It gives an example. D. It analyzes the statement made in the first. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 3311. Social studies classes focus on the complexity of our social environment. The subject combines the study of history and the social sciences and promotes skills in citizenship. What does the second sentence do? A. It expands on the first sentence. B. It makes a contrast. C. It proposes a solution. D. It states an effect. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 3412. Knowledge of another language fosters greater awareness of cultural diversity among the peoples of the world. Individuals who have foreign language skills can appreciate more readily other people's values and ways of life. How are the two sentences related? A. They contradict each other. B. They present problems and solutions. C. They establish a contrast. D. They repeat the same idea. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 3513. While most people think of dogs as pets, some dogs are bred and trained specifically for certain types of work. The bloodhound's acute sense of smell and willing personality make it ideal for tracking lost objects or people. What does the second sentence do? A. It makes a contrast. B. It restates an idea found in the first. C. It states an effect. D. It gives an example. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 3614. Paris, France is a city that has long been known as a center of artistic and cultural expression. In the 1920 seconds, Paris was home to many famous artists and writers from around the world, such as Picasso and Hemingway. What does the second sentence do? A. It reinforces the first. B. It states an effect. C. It draws a conclusion. D. It provides a contrast. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 3715. Studies show that the prevalence of fast food restaurants corresponds with the rates of obesity in both children and adults. Obesity is now on the rise in countries where fast food restaurants are becoming more common. How do the two sentences relate? A. They express roughly the same idea. B. They contradict each other. C. They present problems and solutions. D. They establish a contrast. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 3816. Compared with the rest of the country, North Dakota has a thriving economy, making it a place where more people want to live, with temperatures in January ranging from 2 to 17 degrees Fahrenheit. Winters in North Dakota are viewed by some prospective residents as inhospitable. What does the second sentence do? A. It reinforces the first. B. It explains what is stated in the first. C. It contradicts the first. D. It analyzes a statement made in the first. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 3917. Some stores are testing a new checkout system that allows shoppers to use their mobile phones to scan items as they walk through stores and pay at self-service kiosks, skipping the cashier's lines. The new mobile checkout system reduces long lines and customer wait times in stores. What does the second sentence do? A. It expands on the first. B. It states an effect. C. It contrasts with the first. D. It gives an example. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 4018. According to the American Sleep Disorders Association, the average teenager needs around 9.5 hours of sleep per night, possibly because critical growth hormones are released during sleep. The average adult requires between 6 and 8 hours of sleep per night for optimal health and productivity. How do the two sentences relate? A. They establish a contrast. B. They contradict each other. C. They reinforce each other. D. They provide a problem and solution. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 4112.75 plus 0.003 plus 0.158 equals 0.436 B 2.911 C 2.938 D 4.36. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 4227.86 times 4.6 equals 36.156 B 36.216 C 351.56 D 361.56. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 433. A 0.035 B 0.35 C 0.858 D 3.57/20. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 444. Which of the following is the least? A 0.105 B 0.501 C 0.015 D 0.15. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 45.5. All of the following are ways to write 25% of except A. 0.25 NB25 over 100 NC 1/4 ND25N. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 46.6. Which of the following is closest to 27.8 times 9.6? A 280B 300C 2800D 3000. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 47.7. A soccer team played 160 games and won 65% of them. How many games did the team win? A 94B, 104C, 114D, 124. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 48.8. There are 3 people who work full-time and are to work together on a project, but their total time on the project is to be equivalent to that of only one person working full-time. If one of the people is budgeted for 1/2 of his time to the project and a second person for 1/3 of her time, what part of the third worker's time should be budgeted to this project? A 1/8 B, 1/6 C, 1/3 D, 3/5. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 49.932 is 40% of what number? A 12.8 B, 128 C, 80 D, 800. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 50.10.3 1/3 to 2/5 equals a 1/15 B 14 over 15 C 1/15 D 1/1/2. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 51.11 2 1/2 plus 4 2/3 equals a 6/16 B 6/5 C 7/16 D 7/5. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 52.12. What is 1/345 over 99 rounded to the nearest integer? A 12b, 13c, 14d, 15. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 5313. 3 of 4 numbers have a sum of 22. If the average of the 4 numbers is 8, what is the fourth number? A 4b, 6, c, 8, d, 10. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 54 1446.2 times 10 to the power of 2 equals 0.0462b 0.462c 4.62d 462. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 5515. If 3 halves divided by 1/4 equals n, then n is between a 1 and 3b 3 and 5c 5 and 7d 7 and 9. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 5616. What is 12% of 120? A 10b 14.4 c 18.4 d 28.8. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 5717. A box in a college bookstore contains books, and each book in the box is a history book, an English book, or a science book. If 1/3 of these books are history books and 1/6 are English books, what fraction of the books are science books? A 1/3 B, 1/2 C, 2/3 D, 3/4. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 5818. The measures of two angles of a triangle are 35 degrees and 45 degrees. What is the measure of the third angle of the triangle? A 95 degrees B, 100 degrees Celsius, 105 degrees D, 110 degrees. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 5919. Erica bought 3 1/2 yards of fabric. If she uses 2/3 of the fabric to make a curtain, how much will she have left? A 1/6 yard, B 1/3 yard, C 1/6 yard, D 2 1/3 yard. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 6020. Jen wants to tile the floor of her kitchen. The floor is rectangular and measures 12 feet by 8 feet. If it costs $2.50 per square foot for the materials, what is the total cost of the materials for tiling the kitchen floor? A $160, B $200, C $220, D $240. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 61-1. If A represents the number of apples purchased at 15 cents each, and B represents the number of bananas purchased at 10 cents each, which of the following represents the total value of the purchases in cents? A plus B, B 25, A plus B, C 10A plus 15B, D 15A plus 10B. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 62-2. Square root 2 times square root 15 equals A. Square root 17b. Square root 30c 17d 30. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 63-3. What is the value of the expression 2x to the power of 2 plus 3xy 4y to the power of 2 when x equals 2 and y equals 4? A. 80b. 32c 32d 80. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 64-4. In the figure below, both circles have the same center and the radius of the larger circle is r. If the radius of the smaller circle is 3 units less than r, which of the following represents the area of the shaded region? A pi r to the power of 2 b pi r 3 to the power of 2 c pi r to the power of 2 pi times 3 to the power of 2 d pi r to the power of 2 pi r 3 to the power of 2. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 65-5. 3x 2y to the power of 2 equals A. 9x to the power of 2 4y to the power of 2b. 9x to the power of 2 plus 4y to the power of 2c, 9x to the power of 2 6xy plus 4y to the power of 2d, 9x to the power of 2 12xy plus 4y to the power of 2. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 66.6. If x2, then x to the power of 2x6 slash x to the power of the 2 4 equals a x3 halves b x3 slash x2 c x3 slash x plus 2d3 halves. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 67746 slash 5 equals a 2b 2/5 c 2/5 d2. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 68.8. If 2x 3x plus 4 equals 5, then x equals A. 17b 7c 7d 17. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 69.9. 35642 equals A. 7b 1c 1d 7. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 7010 20-4 slash 5x greater to or equal to 16. Which of the following inequalities is equivalent to the inequality shown above? A x less than or equal to 5bx greater than or equal to 5cx less than or equal to 65 over 2 dx greater than or equal to 65 over 2. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 7111. Which of the following lists of numbers is ordered from least to greatest? A. 1/3, 3/5, 2/3, 3/5 B, 3/5, 1/3, 3/5, 2/3 C, 1/3, 3/5, 3/5, 2/3 D, 3/5, 1/3, 2/3, 3/5. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 7212. If 5t plus 2 equals 6, then t equals a8 b 5 quarters c 4/5 d. 8. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 7313. For which of the following equations are x equals 5 and x equals 5 both solutions? A x to the power of 2 plus 25 equals 0, bx to the power of 2 25 equals 0, cx to the power of 2 plus 10x 25 equals 0, dx to the power of 2 5x 25 equals 0. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 7414. If x not equal to 0, then u slash x plus 5 u slash x u slash 5x equals a 7x slash 5ub 5u slash 7xc 29u slash 5xd 31u slash 5x. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 7515. Look at Accuplacer website. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 7616. 2x plus 6y equals 5x plus 3y equals 2. How many solutions x, y are there to the system of equations above? A. None. B. 1c. 2d. More than 2. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 7717. Which of the following is a factor of both x to the power of 2x6 and x to the power of 2 5x plus 6? A x3bx 2cx plus 2dx plus 3. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 7818. 10x to the power of 6 plus 8x to the power of 4 slash 2x to the power of 2a. 9x to the power of 12b. 14x to the power of 4c. 5x to the power of 4 plus 4x to the power of 2d. 5x to the power of 3 plus 2x to the power of 2. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 70-19. A rectangular yard has area 96 square feet. If the width of the yard is 4 feet less than the length, what is the perimeter in feet of the yard? A 40B, 44C, 48D, 52. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 80-20. On Monday, it took Helen 3 hours to do a page of science homework exercises. The next day, she did the same number of exercises in 2 hours. If her average rate on Monday was P exercises per hour, what was her average rate the next day in terms of P? A 2P plus 1 exercises per hour, B 3P 1 exercises per hour, C 2/3 P exercise per hour, D 3/2 P exercise per hour. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 81-1 2 5/2 2 3/2 equals a 2 1/2 B 2 C 2 3/2 D 2 5/3 E 2 to the power of 2. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 82-2. If a not equal to B and 1/x plus 1/a equals 1/b, then x equals a 1/b 1/a b b c 1/ab d a b /ab ab /b. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is E. Flashcard 83-3. If 3x to the power of 2x plus 7 equals 0, then x 1/3 to the power of 2 equals a 20/9 b 7/9 c, 7/9 d, 8/9 e, 20/9. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is E. Flashcard 84-4. The graph of which of the following equations is a straight line parallel to the graph of y equals 2x? A. 4xy equals 4b, 2x 2y equals 2c, 2xy equals 4d, 2x plus y equals 2ex, 2y equals 4. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 85-5. An equation of the line that contains the origin and the point 1, 2 is a y equals 2xb, 2y equals x, cy equals x1, dy equals 2x plus 1 ey/2 equals x1. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 86-6. An apartment building contains 12 units consisting of 1 and 2 bedroom apartments that rent for $360 and $450 per month, respectively. When all units are rented, the total monthly rental is $4,950. What is the number of 2 bedroom apartments? A 3B, 4C, 5D, 6E, 7. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is E. Flashcard 87-7. Look at Accuplacer website. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 88-8. If log little 10x equals 3, then x equals a 3 to the power of 10b 1000 c 30d 10/3 e 3/10. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 89-9. If fx equals 2x plus 1 and gx equals x1/2, then if gx equals a xb x1/4x plus 2c, 4x plus 2/x1d, 5x plus 1/2 e, 2x plus 1x1/2. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 90-10. If theta is an acute angle and sin theta equals 1/2, then cos theta equals a 1b0 c 1/2 d square root 3/2 e2. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 91-11. 5y2y3 plus 2y3 equals a 5y plus 1 2y plus 3b, 5y plus 1 2y3c, 5y 1 2y plus 3d, 5y 1 2y3e, 10y 2y3. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 9212. For what real numbers x is the value of x power of 26x plus 9 negative? A. 33c x equals 3 or x equals 3d0 x 6e. For no real numbers x. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is E. Flashcard 9313. A root of x power of 25x1 equals 0 is a 1 minus square root of 29 slash 2b5 square root of 17 slash 2c1 plus square root of 29 slash 2d5 plus square root of 17 slash 2e5 plus square root of 29 slash 2. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is E. Flashcard 9415. Look at Accuplacer website. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 9516. One ordering of the letters T, U, V, and W from left to right is UDWA. What is the total number of orderings of these letters from left to right, including UDWA? A. 8, B. 12, C. 16, D. 20, E. 24. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is E. Flashcard 9617. If fx equals 3x 1 half and f power of 1 is the inverse of f, what is the value of f power of 1 3? A 1/3, B 2/3, C 1d 2e 7/3. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is E. Flashcard 9718. The sequence a little n is defined by a little o equals 1 and a little n plus 1 equals 2, a little n plus 2 for n equals 0, 1, 2. What is the value of a little 3? A 8, B 10, C 16, D 20, E 22. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is E. Flashcard 9819. From 5 employees at a company, a group of 3 employees will be chosen to work on a project. How many different groups of 3 employees can be chosen? A 3B, 5C, 6D, 10E, 15. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 9920. If fx equals 1/3 power of x and a fb. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is E. Flashcard 101. Television has been introduced to almost every country in the world, reaching a large number of viewers on every continent. About 600 million people saw the first person walk on the moon, and 1 billion people watched the 20th Olympic Games. Television has in many ways promoted understanding and cooperation among people. It does this by showing educational and cultural programs. From this passage, a reader can most reasonably conclude that the author believes that people spend too much time watching television. B. Not every country needs to have television. C. Television can unify people from around the world. D. Television is as important as schools. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 101-2. People have different ways of learning. Some are better at making mental pictures of new ideas. Others are more comfortable with writing lists of things to memorize. Certain people can learn best when listening to music, while others need silence to concentrate. Which of the following is the main idea of the passage? A. Mental pictures help many to learn. B. Some people prefer lists to making mental pictures. C. To learn well, you need to be comfortable. D. Different individuals have different ways of acquiring information. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 102-3. If you hold a piece of copper wire over the flame of a wooden match, heat will be conducted by the copper wire to your fingers, and you will be forced to drop the wire. You will, however, still be able to hold the match because wood is a poor conductor of heat. Which of the following is implied in the passage above? A. Copper is a good conductor of heat. B. Wood and copper conduct heat equally. C. Wood is an excellent conductor of heat. D. Matches should be made of copper. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 103-4. Many people own different pets. Dogs, cats, birds, and fish are common household pets. Others' pets are considered to be exotic animals. These include snakes, lizards, and hedgehogs. According to the passage, snakes are a uncommon pets. B. Likely to be found in a household with dogs. C. Found only in zoos. D. Not allowed in people's homes. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 145. Cesar Chavez was an influential leader for farm workers. He fought for their rights and better working conditions. Chavez led many strikes that angered farm owners. Eventually, he succeeded in getting increased wages and better living situations for farm workers. The passage indicates that Chavez changed lives by helping to end the farm workers' strikes. B. Fighting for the rights of farm owners. C. Working on the farms every day. D. Improving the conditions for farm workers. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 105-6. When cartoonist Charles M. Schulz was a boy in elementary school, other boys teased him for being small and not very good at sports, and his art teacher told him he had no talent for drawing. He had few friends and was too shy to talk to a red-haired girl he admired. Later in life, Schulz used his childhood experiences in his comic strip Peanuts. The strip's main character, the sad and lonely Charlie Brown, represents Schulz as a little boy. Peanuts was unique at the time because it contained no adult characters. Readers fell in love with Charlie Brown, and Peanuts eventually became one of the most popular comic strips of all time. What is the main idea of the passage? A. Peanuts was the world's most widely read comic strip. B. Schulz was a very famous cartoonist. C. Schulz turned the pain of his youth into success as an adult. D. The comic strip Peanuts featured children as its only characters. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 106-7. Money has been used for thousands of years in nearly every culture as a means of exchange. However, today, the use of cash is becoming less and less common in modern societies all over the world. Every year, a higher percentage of purchases are made online, and even in stores, customers are now using credit cards more often than cash. Many people today do all of their banking on the internet rather than going to the bank in person. The author of the passage probably assumes that a cash will become virtually obsolete in the near future. B. Using cash will become popular again. C. Paying with credit cards all the time is dangerous. D. Societies that do business online will struggle. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 107-8. Before giving first aid to an accident victim, you should obtain his or her consent. Asking for consent takes a simple question. Say to the victim, "I know first aid, and I can help until an ambulance arrives." Is that okay? According to the passage, it is wrong to use first aid on an accident victim without medical training. B. Attempt to help an accident victim without permission. C. Help a victim before an ambulance arrives. D. Call for an ambulance instead of helping the victim. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 108-9. Dr. Ellen Ochoa is an inventor and is also the first female Hispanic astronaut. Her inventions include technology to help robots inspect equipment in space to maintain safety and quality control on spacecraft. Before retiring, she logged more than 1,000 hours in space across several space missions. According to the passage, Dr. Ochoa is the first A. Hispanic person to travel into space. B. Inventor to travel into space. C. Woman to travel into space. D. Hispanic woman to travel into space. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 109-10. Dogs and cats make very different types of pets. Before deciding whether to buy or adopt a dog or a cat, prospective owners need to carefully consider their own lifestyles and personalities. Dogs may make more affectionate companions, but they require more care and attention. They must be taken out several times a day and should not be left alone for more than a few hours. Larger dogs require significant exercise to remain fit and healthy. Cats are usually more independent in nature and interact less with their owners. Also, a cat can be left on its own all day or even for several days as long as it has food and clean water to drink. From this passage, a reader can conclude that owning a cat requires less work than owning a dog. B. People who are away from home during the day should not own a cat. C. People who like to play with their pets should own a cat. D. Owning a cat is more responsibility than owning a dog. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 110-1. Shikibu Murasaki, who wrote almost 1,000 years ago, was one of the world's blank novelists. A most early B, too early C, more early D, earliest. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 111-2. The Chang children blanked their parents by making sandwiches for the whole family. A helped out, B helped with, C helps for, D helps too. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 112-3. As demonstrated by his last album, which was released after his death, Ibrahim Fur blank one of the most beautiful voices in Latin music. A had B, have C, have had D having. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 113-4. After we saw the play, we had different opinions blank Vincent's performance. A about B at C for D2. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 114-5. Having recorded many of the most beloved songs of the 1940 seconds, jazz singer Ella Fitzgerald blank one of the most prominent musical performers of her time. A had been B has been C was D will be. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 115-6. As we drove through the darkness, we saw another car coming blank the bend in the road. A through B under C over D around. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 116-7. Sonia is so determined and stubborn that she never blank until she gets exactly what she wants. A gives up, B gives out, C gave, and D gave away. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 117-8. At only 43, John F. Kennedy was the blank American president ever to be elected. A most young, B more young, C youngest, D younger. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 118-9. Elena found a tomato that was much bigger than all the others in the garden. How did the tomato compare to the others in the garden? A. It was the smallest. B. It was not very large. C. It was larger than some. D. It was the largest. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 119-10. When the popular entertainer canceled her appearance, the Latin American festival was postponed indefinitely. When will the festival likely take place? A. Tonight, B. Tomorrow, C. Next week, D. Many weeks later. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 120-11. Jasmine is never late to meet her friends and sometimes arrives a few minutes early. Which best describes Jasmine? A. Lonely, B. Punctual, C. Talkative, D. Tardy. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 121-12. Bram Stoker is best known for his classic horror novel Dracula, which was published in 1897. What did Bram Stoker do? A. He was a doctor. B. He was a merchant. C. He was a writer. D. He was an engineer. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 122-13. Exhausted from her transatlantic flight, Judy could not stay up past 9 p.m. What did Judy do at 9 p.m.? A. Leave work. B. Come home from the airport. C. Get on an airplane. D. Go to bed. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 123-14. Elliot sleeps late whenever he can, leaves work early, and never does anything unless he absolutely has to. Which best describes Elliot? A. Boring. B. Lazy. C. Selfish. D. Tired. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 124-15. Juanita rushed to her dance class and burst through the door in the nick of time. When Juanita got to her dance class, she was a very early, B very late, C nearly late, D a little late. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 125 1 blank washing his sweater. Jacob hung it up to dry. A. After B. Before C. By D. Untie. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 126 2. Dr. O'Hara is certain that someday men and women will blank to Mars. A travel B, travel C, traveling D, traveled. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 127 3. Water blank at a temperature of 0 degrees Celsius. A having frozen B, freezing C, freeze D, freezes. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 128 4 blank you get a new haircut. A. Have B. Does C. Or D. Did. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is D. Flashcard 129 5. Jack Calster will be remembered for his inventions and for blank to marine science. A dedication B, his dedication C, being dedicated D, his being dedicated. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 136. The children, who were tired of traveling, kept asking, when blank we get to the hotel. A have B will C did D R. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 131 7. Galileo is most famous blank that Earth revolves around the Sun, rather than the other way around. A for having discovered B for discovery C his discovery D in discovering. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 132 8. Men and women sometimes have difficulty understanding each other because they blank differently. A communicate B communicated C have communicated D communicates. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 133 9 blank you can speak more than one language. You have the opportunity to make more new friends. A. So B. Before C. When D. Though. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 134 10. Light blank faster than sound, which is why you see lightning before you hear the thunder. A traveling B travels C, having traveled D will travel. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 135 11. Lisa plays the piano. Her sister Kelly plays the piano too. A. Lisa and her sister Kelly plays the piano. B. Both Lisa and her sister Kelly play the piano. C. Lisa plays the piano and Kelly plays the piano. D. Lisa and Kelly too play the piano. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 136 12. Kazuko took her dog for a walk. They went to the park. A. Kazuko, going to the park, took her dog for a walk. B. Kazuko took her dog for a walk to the park. C. Kazuko took her dog for a walk because they went to the park. D. Kazuko and her dog went to the park where she and the dog walked. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B. Flashcard 137 13. We knew it might get chilly at the football game. We brought along some extra blankets. A. We knew it might get chilly at the football game when we brought along some extra blankets. B. Bringing along some extra blankets, we knew it might get chilly at the football game. C. We brought along some extra blankets because we knew it might get chilly at the football game. D. It got chilly at the football game and we brought along some extra blankets. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is C. Flashcard 138 14. Juan loves to play baseball. His friend Miguel enjoys baseball too. A. Both Juan and his friend Miguel enjoy playing baseball. B. Juan and his friend Miguel enjoys playing baseball. C. Juan enjoys playing baseball and his friend Miguel too. D. Juan loves baseball and Miguel too enjoys baseball. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is A. Flashcard 13915. Wolves are pack animals. They are rarely spotted alone. A. Wolves are rarely spotted alone if they are pack animals. B. Being pack animals, wolves are rarely spotted alone. C. After being pack animals, wolves are rarely spotted alone. D. Wolves are rarely spotted alone, although they are pack animals. Pause and think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is B.